Every project represents difficulties or things that are probably almost unthinkable. We must have the courage to dare, to push, to try, because we always try to give something that is innovative. It is beautiful that people can remember because I leave them with an emotion. Certainly those who have known me for a long time, so the agencies that have always involved me, we are talking about large agencies that still do great events worldwide, that Olympic ceremonies have always considered me a bit as the technician who, in quotes, is good on a visual level and knows how to solve a series of technical problems related precisely to live, to things that happen during an event. Actually, lately, and I'm very happy with this, a different phase is emerging. So some agencies have realized that actually the value of being able to call Giulio or TBX or Luma Studio, however, represents an important point right in the proposal phase. And I am happy about this because right from the start, they provide me with the opportunity to talk directly with their customers. This concert was certainly a turning point from a working point of view. For me, it is a new thing. We didn't have enough experience to say, we can do everything. Actually, how did this thing come about? It was, yes, a phone call from a friend who asked me, do I know a singer? Can we do this project? Giulio, I believe in you. In my opinion, you are the right person to be able to do this thing. But the beginning was a little quieter because the request was the production of content, so a whole part of visuals to be created, of mood boards, of interpretation of some things. And so I said, yes, I can do it. I feel it's within my abilities. It could be something that can come out well. Actually, this thing has evolved in a much broader way because he is the singer. I met lovely people when we started working together, and he began to understand the thought behind it. He had asked me, I would like you to do the creative and artistic direction of my show. That is, at first I asked him, in order to understand your songs, I need to talk to you, to understand you, to live you, because I believe that this is how it is done. When he said, no, I don't want you to talk to me, because if you talk to me, I influence you. At first, I didn't take it very well already, in the sense that I almost thought, okay, well, it's not so collaborative. But I understood it later. If he had said in this song, I want to bring out this feeling, I wrote it during a particular moment in my life, he instead gave me carte blanche and said, you do it. In fact, he needed to see something new, to see that someone interpreted his words. I locked myself in my office. In December, I stayed practically a 2-week, like everything closed without anyone all at home during the Christmas holidays, and I focused on what was the interpretation of the songs. I wanted to understand the harmony of the song, the dramaturgy of the song, to understand what that song was actually supposed to bring. When he came to Milan, I made him find a whole series of tables of all the songs I had studied and visualized in my head. I explained them to him. He told me not to change anything, that is, this thing here. I've never seen anything like it, and so I said, if we do the show like this, it will be a great show. In addition to the production of content, but also to set design, to scenography, it was developed on the concept of immersiveness. Ideally, it has always been thought of as a singer, in the middle of two supports that tell your story of your songs. But you are in the middle, you live them, and the audience that sees this thing must have a perception of you that you are inside the story you tell. For the intro, for example, he told me I have a nice video clip to put for the intro. I told him, look, with this kind of music that you want, we must have an explosion. I would like to make you go on stage in the dark. So with the lights off. No one has to know that you are on stage. We hide you inside this big center that we will then pull up and make your revelation. When I explained it to him by seeing the visuals and I made a small animation of the whole intro part, that is, he looked like a 10-year-old child with the bicycle given for Christmas, and he said, "You were right, that is a video clip." It was not exactly what I could need. I want this thing here, and when we tried it, he came and told me how cool. I wanted to insist on the centrality at the concept level. It was very important to give the whole audience the same chance. So not to leave one side closed as tends to be done with concerts and do a horseshoe thing, but to keep it central because he was the protagonist of his 45 years of experience. He is a pop singer, so the songs are, for a large percentage, love theme, couple relationship. The pace is slow because they are pop songs, and this is a point of view of the content to be created. It's a little easier because it gives you that chance to be a little more of a dreamer, and I liked some songs. They excited me, in short, more than others. Because apart from the love theme that I liked, the couple's relationship, I liked the idea that there was a bond. For example, the butterfly game comes to mind. I don't remember exactly the title in Czech. There is a verse that helped me create the visual of this song because it says, "And women are like butterflies that get trapped in the webs that the man holds out to them." And then I liked this thing so much. I started from that. I wanted to create a sort of metamorphosis here too. I start the song with a large plant that grows, that grows, that grows, and in the end creates its flowers, and its flowers undergo metamorphosis. Being colored, they become butterflies that take flight. So there is a whole initial part that is very positive, because it is a bit like the life of the woman who undergoes various phases, but then in her purity, in her most beautiful, most mystical entity, she becomes a butterfly free to approach life, so she reaches her maturity. Unfortunately then, during life, there are obstacles that are often stretched by men and that imprison butterflies. In fact, you could see in the tool these large cobwebs, and the butterflies were imprisoned. But even here, I wanted to make a forcing and then make sure that maybe the butterflies broke the web, just to give that sense of very feminine, in my opinion, of we can do it, even if life then it puts us in front of obstacles. However, we managed to free ourselves from this thing. Nana Pavade tells of this relationship. I like the idea that there was a bond. The concept of the song is that couple relationships often end badly because one rather than another is overpowered. There is a metamorphosis here too of the red thread that is initially seen as a positive bond, but then during the song begins to encircle more and more, tighter and tighter, more and more oppressive, a bit like the couple relationship when things don't go well until it becomes the thread that binds you like a puppet. It becomes the force that controls you. It somehow manipulates you, right? So a bit like the puppeteer who pulls the strings and leaves the mannequin, unable to live his life as he would like. In the songs that saw us as protagonists, obviously it is, let's say that the visual part became really fundamental. It was much less live. It was almost more of a theatrical show. It almost seemed to be a bit at the cinema. There is also the reaction of the people during the songs. That is, the difference I saw was that when there was the song, with all the visual and storytelling part, is people watched it because they were curious to see how the story ended. Inside the stadium, even in the preliminary phase. So before the live, there was an atmosphere anyway, which already gives you a great charge. actually seeing the setup of things that you have tried for so many months, have broken down, reassembled, created, disassembled, adapted. And you see them for the first time actually taking shape. I can't wait to upload the contents on it. And above all, I can't wait to see the reaction of the people who will watch them for the first time, because you live an emotionality in seeing the things you have finally done. You see them for the first time. You can touch them with your hand here compared to before, and they upload you. They give you unparalleled strength and emotion. We immediately put all the production on the right tracks.
I'm Jan, and my role is to keep everything going, to be prepared for the Michael's show. From the beginning till the end, control all sections and supervise them and lead them to the finest show we can here in Ottawa. There are maybe two biggest challenges. First is that it's a 360.
Right.
360 show, so we are playing to the all direction, to the all tribunes, skyboxes, to the all places in Ottawa Arena. So this is something what is not usual. Biggest challenge was at the beginning to find the right way to communicate, to prepare the show, and to do all parts that can fit together. You know, the timeline is that at the beginning you have time for everything, and when the show is coming to happen, so the time is very short and you do a lot of things in a short time. So it's a year period, but the most work was done 2 months ago. I'm excited when I see it growing, okay? Because now you see some maybe flat screens or PA systems, and you don't see kilometers of cables, kilometers of technology, a lot of things hidden behind the stage. We are nearly at 20 trucks of material here. So now if you look at the stage behind me, behind it, there is a lot of material and a lot of work of people, and a lot of inventions, and a lot of projecting. So that is what I like. See everything happening. At the final, you follow the project and that everything is working. For me, the interesting thing is to keep everything and see everything growing and preparing for the Michael's show.
We're assembling the tool, and that's all for now. The plan of the scenography, with all the positions. Giulio Maiori called me. The art director, we have fun experimenting, and so he involved me by asking me for advice on materials. We use these very special tulles that are used to make ideograms, so they have a very thin weight, they are covered by a metal cover, so they have a response to light, to projection with very high performance, but they are very transparent. So with the naked eye, with the lights on, they will disappear. So we will see images appear in thin air that will overlap the LED wall.
The most critical moment was when we turned on the projectors and realized that by projecting the light on the tool, many things were not seen. The light dirties the immersive LED behind it, and therefore you see the contribution repeated even in the immersive. This thing here is a bit ugly to see. So you have to find compromises to make sure that you alternate the contributions in such a way that you can have, in some moments, the dominant on the tool, and in other moments in the immersive LED, and so on. And we discovered this the day before the event, and there are not many solutions. You can reduce the LED brightness, but only to a certain limit. Not that it turns off, but it begins to have problems with solarization of the LED, so you cannot go below a certain threshold of brightness. We thought of doubling the content by putting it on top of the projector content, and at that point, the content in the tool could actually be seen. Not being able to show the tool would have been mortifying anyway, but we solved it, and the result is there for all to see. The moment I remember most carefully was right at the beginning, when I was told, okay, from 8 onwards, when you want, we can leave, we just wait for your go. It was an exciting moment because I had 22 people. I had never had people waiting to see a concert, which I realized and who can't wait to see. By the way, he was very, very nice to thank us in public between one song and another. And so this has already been a source of pride for me, for my work and that of my team. It has been very nice because it has brought me a whole series of people. Apart from the fact that he wanted me in the dressing room, you could see that he wanted to introduce the sponsors, the most important people who were there at that time. My figure as creative director, artistic. By the way, he was very, very nice to thank us in public between one song and another. And so this has already been a source of pride for me, for my work and that of my team. It has been very nice because it has brought me a whole series of people. Apart from the fact that he wanted me in the dressing room, you could see that he wanted to introduce the sponsors, the most important people who were there. At that time, my figure as creative director, artistic.
Prego, prego. Tutto bene,
Ti è piaciuto?
Sì, e come tu? Come tu?
Bravissimo.
This experience taught me to have a different approach to production. Being able to protect my ideas means that the show actually works in the way I thought, which is the way for which the artist actually involves you. Also, for the team that supports them, it was an experience, I think, very fulfilling, from the point of view of the growth of one's staff.
Unlike perhaps when you work for television products that you produce, the contribution, the customer sends it, and more or less there, you never know how it's received on the other side. Here, however, everything will be different because you will see the reaction of the audience the moment they see the content. So that will be, I think for me, let's say a little bit, the pinnacle of the show.
I always think that those who do this type of job here should never be afraid to get involved and indeed must seize this opportunity as a challenge to grow. What definitely leaves me, which from now on is certainly the approach I will have on future works, will be a more conscious approach, a more mature approach, is a sort of personal maturation, but also of almost self-celebration, in the sense that everything that until a few months before had remained or always remained in the I do it for someone else, here maybe this time I really did it for myself, listening to what I really wanted to do, what I really wanted to propose. And so it was. So I went from being able to produce, to being able to think, to be able to create, to be able to propose, and to be able to finalize something that is truly 100% mine.
Zie je concertine,